Sasha Alexander discusses her decision to leave her role as Caitlin Todd on NCIS after just 2 seasons. Even though Larry Jethro Gibbs' team was pre-existing when they first found GAG, Kate's introduction set the stage for the events of the police procedural. She was fired from her position as a Secret Service agent after disclosing that she had slept with a coworker. The 1000th episode of NCIS featured a revisit to this case. She joined the Major Case Response Team, MCRT, despite the tragedy, albeit she was only a member for a few years. Alexander's exit from NCIS came as a shock, especially in light of Kate's horrific death in the Season 2 final. In a recent episode of Off Duty, an NCIS Rewatch, a podcast presented by Michael Weatherly and Cote de Pablo, the actor talked candidly about her choice to leave the police drama. According to Alexander, long-running TV shows typically see cast member turnover. This is also the case with NCIS. Nevertheless, Kate's passing had perhaps the biggest effect on the program. Not only was it violent, particularly considering how her murder at Ari's hands transpired, but it also sparked a number of developments that shaped NCIS' subsequent 10 years. To be honest, it's hard to say exactly how NCIS might have changed had Alexander remained in her role as Kate. The largest modification, though, would be that Ziva David, played by Cote de Pablo, would not be replacing her on the show. Ziva, Ari's half-sister, was first brought in to work as a Mossad liaison officer, tasked with handling her rebellious brother. But in the end, after learning of the horrible murders he had committed, she joined MCRT officially. Had Kate stayed with Gibbs' original team, NCIS would never have needed to bring on a new female agent. Perhaps the most well-known love story in the police procedural would have been erased if Ziva had never existed. This will be further discussed in the upcoming NCIS Tony and Ziva spin-off. Alexander eventually starred in another procedural, something she brought up in the podcast. Despite playing the show's title character, the co-headliner of Rizzoli and Isles said that her schedule was significantly less demanding than that of NCIS. Given her prior post-mortem appearance, Alexander's chances of reprising her part in the CBS franchise are somewhat slim due to Kate's passing. Maybe NCIS Season 22 will go back to Kate's death, which would mean the actor will be back on the popular show. The squad has been working to get past Gibbs' legacy and concentrate on the current iteration of the police procedure since his retirement. It's inevitable that Gibbs will be erased from NCIS, especially if the show runs for a few more decades. Though Tony and Ziva spin-off allows the show to explore elements of the first 10 or 12 years of the show, it has always felt like more might have been done with Kate. NCIS has demonstrated in the past that it is capable of being inventive and going back and reviewing that as it moves forward. Though it couldn't go back in time and have Alexander reprise her role as Kate on a regular basis, CBS can explore Alexander's life prior to the NCIS pilot. Given that Ginny Palmer and Timothy McGee have dealt with her in the past, the current MCRT might be interested in taking on a case involving her legacy. Her sister, who was most recently mentioned in the 1000th episode of the series, may also return to NCIS. It appears like Alexander has no ill will towards the NCIS series based on her contacts with Weatherly and De Pablo, so this should be easy to carry off. Character recasting is becoming commonplace. Given that Kate was the first female lead on NCIS, CBS might have thought about replacing Alexander with a different performer when she chose to quit the show after just 2 seasons. Besides, she hadn't been on the show for very long, so it would be simpler to implement the adjustment than for someone who had worked on the show for a longer period of time. Although it's unclear if it was ever discussed when Alexander decided to leave, it's not the greatest course of action going ahead. First of all, NCIS was still in no position to be making these types of adjustments at that time. The procedural had not yet established itself as the massive series it is today when Alexander left. Its run might have terminated if there had been a backlash after the recasting. Second, Kate's passing truly contributed to NCIS's meteoric rise to fame. Given the significant cliffhanger, as Weatherly pointed out, viewers checked them out during the summer break through reruns. As they came back for season 3, more people were watching,